in print. We'll find out from Kirby Sommer soon about the availability of these incredible books. And then there is the Ghislaine Maxwell biography, the critical biography. And as we will find out shortly, if you think you know everything about the Jeffrey Epstein case, think again and hang on to your seats. Here's an incredible book that you can start on, though. It's Jeffrey Epstein, Creditor, Spy. And I'm sure I'll chime in occasionally, but I'm going to please, as a courtesy to Kirby Sommers, just let her roll with it. But I'm very much interested in the Montauk Project. I've been reading about it for years, especially the work of Peter Moon and his co-author, Preston Nichols. And Kirby Sommer is going to be talking about the Philadelphia experiment shortly. And I also want to get her perceptions about the geopolitical, let's say the gravitational focus where a lot of this is taking place. And that is the Caribbean, right? That's where Little Bart Island is, where Jeffrey Epstein or his people had their little private redoubt. And I got clued into this after starting from scratch, from book one, Casino Royale, the entire work, the fiction of one Ian Fleming. And one recurrent pattern is that the Bahamas, that is the Caribbean, is the center of action. And that was borne out in 2016 with the drop of the so-called Panama Papers. So I'm hoping that Kirby Sommers today will help add a new analytical depth, a greater degree of analytical depth to this story, this empire that's threatening to enclose our entire world. So with that, let me welcome Ms. Kirby Sommers. Ms. Sommers, welcome.
Thank you so much, Daryl, for that incredible introduction. I have been really very happy that we connected through our followers who, by the way, seem to have joined forces. My followers are now your followers are my followers. The information about Jeffrey Epstein continues to grow, mainly because, as you point out, I was a former sex slave to one of the people involved in, frankly, not just the Jeffrey Epstein case, but also, if you recall, the Franklin child abuse case. Does that ring a bell?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay, and so one of the things that I want to preface our conversation today with is that the government went through a very big pushback with the Franklin child abuse case, so much so that if you look on Wikipedia, it says that it was an elaborate hoax. And so for anyone who's listening who's not familiar with the Franklin child abuse scandal, it came to surface during the 1980s at the time that Ronald Reagan was in office, and it was a child trafficking ring very similar to the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell case. I became interested in the Franklin child abuse case because I had listened to one of the I just have like 40 pages of notes today. So bear with me, because last time I think I only had 26, but today I have about 40 pages of notes. So I had listened to the deposition of Paul Bonacci, who was one of the three very well-known victims of the Franklin child abuse case. And as I said, it was connected to Ronald Reagan's White House. It was exposed during the 1980s. And he said that he was part of a government program known as the MK Ultra program. And that, and frankly, during his deposition, which someone filmed, and it was on YouTube, I don't know if it's still on YouTube. It was a very long, I believe, 3-hour thing that would be taken down from YouTube. And he looks really, really worn. His eyes are, deeply circled. During this time when they were questioning him and trying to find the name of the person that was his handler, you could see in this videotaped sort of deposition that he was very reluctant. He didn't want to give the name. But finally, he did give the name. And that name was a man named Gary Ackerman. Gary Ackerman is a former congressman, and Gary Ackerman happens to be the ex-husband of Ira Rickless's sister, Mona. Gary Ackerman was a New York City congressman who used to wear a flower, a carnation, in his lapel. And he had been accused by other male adult victims of having had inappropriate relationships with them. So I heard this years ago, and because I heard the name Gary Ackerman and my relationship via Ira Rickless, I thought, this case, the Franklin scandal, stayed, on my mind. I wasn't actively looking into it, but then when the Epstein thing surfaced, and I knew that Epstein was related to Wexner, related to Israel through Sharon, and it was like, okay, let me just put a pin in this. However, the government, I want to just again state that the government forcefully tried to deny that the Franklin child abuse scandal, which had its roots in a place called Boys Town, which was made famous in old movies. Mickey Rooney, and you're a movie buff, so Mickey
Yes.
Rooney, in that old movie Boys Town with Father Flanagan, that is the place where they would get the children from and then fly them to Washington, D.C., to these parties where they would be forced to participate in, illegal things with some of these very powerful politicians. So that the government has time and time again attempted to call something a hoax, when in fact it's not a hoax, it's just a cover-up. So one of the things that I'm going to be sharing today is about a place called Camp Hero. The government still calls Camp Hero a hoax, but I'll tell you what Camp Hero is, where it is.